Magandang araw, Podmates! Howie Severino muli na nagpapaalala na nakakatalino ang mahabang attention span. Ang tawag ng guest natin ngayon sa sarili ay isang Chief Executive Farmer. Siya si Mark Hersava, social entrepreneur. Ayon sa kanyang LinkedIn profile, isang trained food scientist, miyembro ng National Innovation Council ng gobyerno at isa sa mga TOYM awardees noong 2023. Isa sa mga misyon niya ay sugpuin ang problema ng plastic waste sa pamamagitan ng bamboo products katulad ng bamboo straws at bamboo toothbrushes. Magandang araw sa iyo, Mark Hersava.
Magandang araw, Howie, at sa ating mga tagapakinig.
Okay, Mark, you grew up in Sultan Kudarat in Mindanao. Hindi masyadong kilala yung iyong probinsya, no? Tell us something about your province first at ano yung mga conditions noong lumalaki ka?
Yeah, so basically our province, we considered as the coffee capital of the Philippines. Lumaki ako sa isang komunidad na kung saan mataas yung rebellion. So maraming mga leaflets along the area. At yung lugar namin is, it's very far. It's the southern part of the Philippines. So yung kabila nun is, I think it's already Indonesia. At for almost 20 years is nakatira ako sa bundok. Okay, sinasabi ko nga na I'm the living Tarzan because that's 20 years of my life living in that kind of community na kung saan yung mga puno, yung mga wild animals, yung mga yung mga kalaro, okay, no, kabataan ko.
Okay, well, interesting childhood, no? But unang-una, yung sabi mo, Sultan Kudarat is the coffee capital of the Philippines,
Yes.
no? Kasi kadalasan pag iniisip kape sa Pilipinas, Batangas, Cavite, pero
Oo.
baka nagugulat yung mga taga Luzon na sinasabi mo coffee capital ng Sultan Kudarat. Why is your province making that claim?
Yeah, it was declared already ng ating bansa kasi sobrang lapakalaki lang doon. Kasi siguro dati nakilala yung probinsya namin na may giyera, okay, ganun lagi yung naririnig natin sa news. But behind that, since I think way back around 2012, so doon na siya nakikilala na sobrang maraming kape nung paunti-unti na nawawala yung insurgency along the area kasi napapasok na siya ng mga tao kung saan nakatanim yung mga kape. So ganun yung storya doon kung bakit late lang siya nakilala na sobrang dami ng kape doon. It's because dati nga din talaga is hindi basta-basta nakakapasok doon sa mga lugar kung saan yung mga kape is nakatanim.
Okay, so may history ng conflict yung Sultan Kudarat, and you actually witnessed conflict. Were you affected by it?
Growing up is naging internally displaced people or we called it bakwit. So naranasan din namin na palipat-lipat ng bahay. Nung elementary ako, nakikita ko din na yung mga helicopter na binobomba yung ibang lugar doon sa lugar namin. So guns, bigan doon sa mga huni ng ibon. So yun yung mga naririnig ko. Guns. And then doon ko na napagtanto na walang hustisya. Kasi like nakikita ko lang may mga namamatay lang dyan sa gilid. Okay, witness it me personally. And then wala masyadong presence ng, should I say, gobyerno, ng pulis. Kasi nga, I think sometimes siguro so it's because of the criticality of the area kaya hindi kaagad-agad sila nakakapasok yung mga natin yung mga kawani ng gobyerno para ayusin yung peace and development. So when I grow up kasi nga lagi kami palipat-lipat so kailangan kong maglakad ng 2 oras papunta sa school then 2 oras ulit pabalik sa school in order lang na makapag-aral. And then we grow up really na malnourished kasi halos wala talaga kaming makain like umabot sa level na pati yung asin is kailangan naming hiramin sa kapitbahay at saka yung apoy, yung fire. So may mga time talaga na 1 linggo wala kaming bigas. So kung ano lang yung ma-forge namin sa forest, yun lang yung kakainin namin. So ganun yung storya ng kabataan ko living in that kind of conflict-ridden place area before. But still ngayon, yeah, it's already a progressive place.
Yeah, so you grew up in a family of farmers, ganun ba?
Yes.
Upland farmers.
Upland, yes. Kasi 11 kami na magkakapatid. I'm the number 8.
Ano pala yung sinaka ng pamilya mo when you were growing up?
So basically, may vegetable, palay, corn. So halos lahat ng mga sinasakat tinarain na ng tatay ko, like onion.
So you overcame a situation of conflict, naging bakwit kayo. Sabi mo,
Yes.
medyo malnourished kayo. You overcame all of that, no? And now you're working in Makati. You look like you have a good professional life, no? So how did you overcome all of that?
Yeah, so siguro I think perseverance, we have that dream, we have that ambition to get out of poverty kasi yun lang talaga yung pangarap naming magkakapatid kasi ang hirap talaga like hindi parang sabi ko hindi pa ako nakakita ng hirap na naranasan namin nung mga bata pa kami, wala pa akong namimit dito sa Pilipinas na ganong level ng kahirapan. And of course, I think we have that trust, okay, yung kasi I'm really a godly person. So I think hindi talaga kami bumitaw sa Panginoon. And right now, should I say, most of us are already social entrepreneurs. Like, meron din ako mga kapatid na kung saan, meron din silang sarili, so, tinutulungan nila yung mga person with disabilities. So, yung mga ano ko is they are doing virtual assistants. So should I say, I'm comfortable now, and I say, I can proudly say that all of us already, the 10 of us are already accomplished people. So, paring mga farmer, me also, is nagpa-farm pa rin until now, kahit nandito ako sa Makati. So, umuwi pa rin ako ng probinsya at doon, being a farmer is really, I think, nandun na yun sa puso ko. Kasi yun yung kinalakhan.
Yeah, okay, Mark. So you're like many, you grew up in a farming family, but you're different in the sense na nagkaroon ka ng higher education, kasama ng mga kapatid mo, ganun din.
Yeah.
So what was the secret, if there's any, ano ba yung opportunities? Paano ka nagkaroon ng opportunities for higher education?
Kasi naniwala ako sa sarili ko na mayroon talaga akong kakayanan. So, during my higher education, during my college is I'm a working and self-supporting student. Kasi I'm in the state university. So, ang ginagawa ko is nag-join ako ng mga different organization para magkapera. Pag naging leader ka doon, pag pinadala ka sa Baguio or sa mga training, mayroong 800 na allowance per day. And then kung ano-anong mga contest, kahit singing competition, oration, name all those singing competitions, sinalihan ko yon in order na magkaroon ng pera para masuportahan yung aking pag-aaral. So hindi ako masyado on academic. But of course, still, kailangan pa rin mataas kasi I have a scholarship need to maintain. But most of my life during the college is, yun na nga, nasa student body organization, nasa community ako, hindi sa dahilan ng I have the passion to help, but during the time is really a survival para makatapos ako ng pag-aaral. Kasi yun lang yung nakikita kong means na magkaroon ako ng pera, mag-join all those different organizations.
And then may I ask what state university you went to?
Yeah, so I came from Sultan Kudarat State University, Isulan campus. So we're the first batch actually na nung naging university na siya. So still located in Sultan Kudarat. I think the largest university in our province.
I see. So you call yourself a social entrepreneur. How is being a social entrepreneur different from what people normally associate with the word entrepreneur?
Yeah, being a social entrepreneur kasi ito yung negosyo na panglipunan na kung saan hindi lamang pang-advokasya yung ginagawa namin, like yung ginagawa namin sa kumpanya ko, sa Bambuhay, is nagbibigay kami ng employment, ng green employment para sa ating mga kababayang katutubo, na kung saan ito sila yung hindi nabigyan ng oportunidad na makapag-aral. So tinutulungan namin sila na like ngayon is above the minimum wage kahit wala silang pinag-aralan, yung pinapasahod pa rin namin sa kanila above the minimum wage. So kinakapacitate din namin sila before sila nag-engage as an employee. Sa aming kumpanya is tinitrain namin sila paano gamitin yung talento and skills nila. Tumutulong kami sa mga kapwa nating mahirap. Hindi all about na para lang tulungan sila. It is intentional na parte sila ng negosyo. And of course, nandun pa rin yung environmental na yung negosyo is hindi nakakasira sa kalikasan. The products na ino-offer namin are all eco-friendly. So yun yung pagkakaiba kasi most of the entrepreneur ay yung goal lang talaga nila is magkaroon ng profit. Okay, magkaroon ng pera. But here is we want to grow. Being a social entrepreneur, we want to grow our business together with the community, the marginalized community that we are serving. And also we are providing sustainable livelihood to those farmer. Not the typical livelihood na bigyan mo sila ng livelihood. For us kasi is really we value their product and we And yung isang pinaka-goal namin doon is we really need to increase their income. Dati is kumikita sila ng below 3,000 pesos. Ngayon, some of our partners, hindi namin silang tinatawag na beneficiaries but partners, ay nakapagpatayo ng bahay, nakapagpaaral na ng kanilang mga anak, nakapagpatapos ng kanilang mga anak. So yun yung pinagkaiba of an entrepreneur and the social entrepreneur.
Okay, Mark, just to clarify, no, being a social entrepreneur doesn't mean that you are not also turning profits.
Yes, we are turning profit also. It's balance. Okay, balancing the profitability, the equitability of the people, and of course, the welfare of our natural resources or our environment. Okay? Kumikita siya sa tamang paraan. Okay? Na wala tayong ina-exploit na tao, na tama yung pasahod, or at saka nakakabuti siya sa ating planet.
Okay, at kasi yung mga nakikinig ngayon, no, na mga entrepreneurs na they don't consider themselves social entrepreneurs, baka iniisip nila na ang hirap mag-compete kapag may mga requirements ka pa na ganyan. Mark, you have to be sustainable, you have to pay your workers better, provide them with all of these benefits. I mean, you have to compete with other businesses that don't have to do these things. I said, yung mga sinasabi mo, this costs money, di ba? To be a responsible entrepreneur, to be a social entrepreneur. No? So how are you able to compete with other entrepreneurs who don't feel as responsible?
I think yung mga produkto pa rin naman namin ngayon, it's still competitive. Actually, it's 20 to 30% cheaper than our competitors in the market, than the typical entrepreneur. So it's all about the balancing of the profitability. Siguro kami hindi lang ganun kataas yung profitability namin, but we are proud of it kasi yung pamilya namin ay ako namin sa kahirapan and I have a good life right now. Ito yung negosyo na kailangan gawin ko na hindi nag-exploit ng mga tao. So should I say it's all about the margin? Kasi minsan yung ibang negosyante talaga ibang level kung magpatong okay ng mga margin ng mga produkto nila. So I think doon nagkakatalo at nagagampanan pa rin naman namin yung responsibilidad namin sa ating bansa na magbayad ng maayos na tax. And now in the survey, yung mga pino-purchase nila ng mga produkto ay hindi nakakasira sa kalikasan at hindi rin nag-i-exploit ng mga tao, ng mga ordinaryong Pilipino.
Okay, Mark, I'm going to ask you about the real world situation now, no? Because you produce and sell bamboo products.
Yes.
That's what you've become known for, no? In particular, lately, yung bamboo toothbrushes. I know you started out with bamboo straws, no? Are you turning a profit in this bamboo toothbrush production?
Yeah, when I say like for example in our bamboo straw, okay, simula tayo doon, we have around 27% profit margin. Kinausap ko yung mga veteran na mga negosyante, that's really a very good margin. At ngayon naman with our plantable toothbrush, yes, with our bamboo toothbrush, yes, kumikita din naman. We have still a good margin. But ngayon, like for example, for how many years ang ginagawa kasi namin, like lahat ng profitability namin is nire-reinvest namin sa kumpanya for our expansion.
Okay, kasi ang kalaban mo dito in terms of your business, it's not just your competitors in the bamboo industry, no? Ang kalaban mo rito plastic.
Yes.
Diba? And of course, plastic exists because it's convenient, it's cheap to produce, it's light, etc. Ang daming advantages ng plastic, no? So, yan ang kinakalaban mo dyan. Kasi most straws in the world, like I would say up to now, 99% or more straws in the world are still made of plastic. Although I'm seeing more and more na kahit bakal and bamboo, ano? And toothbrushes, of course, are still mostly plastic. So how are you able to compete with plastics?
Yung sa amin kasi is we use local talents and we use local product, and we establish also our facility in the rural areas para hindi na pumunta sa mga urban areas yung mga manggagawa natin na nandun sa mga sa rural areas. So isa yan, and of course support from the government also, napakalaking tulong nun sa amin kasi some of our equipment it was supported by our Department of Trade and Industry. So hindi siya nagkaroon ng masyadong capital intensive kasi binigay yon ng gobyerno natin na libre through grant. Malaking tulong yan in order na na-decrease namin yung aming yung product kaya available siya. sa market. I think that yun yung isa sa pinakamalaking tulong namin. Um, and I think it's all about being profitable and the balance to the environment. And of course, with the support of international organizations also, nakatanggap din kami ng mga support. Like in our research also, nung ginagawa namin yung produkto, we have a good support from FPRDI, DOST. Yun yung mga diskarte na ginawa ko in order that we can compete in the market. Beyond our distribution is we are also working with this it's still in the negotiation with those big companies, encouraging them to really get their products locally using mga Filipino version. So ganun yung mga strategies. Okay. At yung pasahod, like for example, me, like I'm the CEO of the company, but still yung salary, yung sahod ko, it's not the typical CEO of the big companies na kasi ang layo ng gap eh. Like for example, yung CEO natin dito minsan 120,000 and then some are earning as much as 400,000. Sobrang ano lang, sobrang konti lang yung difference nung sahod ko. Okay, being a CEO, doon sa sahod ng pinakabababang posisyon sa aming kumpanya. We want it na hindi lavish, na kunyari nakapagtapos ka, etc. is yun na yung gagamitin mo kasi of course we know that we have really that capacity to re-strategize, but we want to give opportunity for those people na the marginalized na hindi nagamit ng maayos yung mga skills nila, and we capacitate them in order to use those kind of skills. Sa mga management namin, hindi ganun ka taas din yung pasahod namin. Sakto lang, okay na mabuhay, na sabihin natin na convenient, okay, na buhay, na nakakatulong ka sa kapwa mo at basically yung negosyo mo is nakakatulong para protektahan at isalba yung ating environment.
Mm-hmm. Wow, keeping the gap between the CEO and the other workers of the company small is a big challenge for the business sector, no? Siyempre pag CEO ka na, ang laki ng expectation para sa sarili. But going back to your product, Mark, no? So one of your innovations is that your bamboo toothbrushes have contain seeds of native trees.
Yes. Yeah.
Tama ba yun? So how viable has this been? Has this idea caught on? And number two, how much is each toothbrush? And how do you distribute and market?
Yeah, so basically, it's cost 120 pesos. Yung maayos na toothbrush, it's na mga plastic toothbrush is 135 already in the market. So yung sa Bambuhay, that's what we call plantable toothbrush. So should I say it's really competitive? And right now we are in the major malls around the Philippines. So we are in the Sinag Sari Sari store, which is located in the different major malls. In the GoLocal stores also of the Department of Trade and Industry. Nandun na rin kami yung distribution namin. But we are really looking forward in our distribution right ngayon is yung moving forward namin is naghahanap kami ng mga municipal distributor because we want to create more entrepreneurs. Ayaw din kasi namin na typical na mag-grow yung negosyo doon sa loob ng malls because we know capitalism, okay, is very crucial issue din dito sa ating bansa, yung gap between the poor and the rich. So we want to create more entrepreneurs. So yun yung mga diskarte namin ngayon na to create those kind of platform, and we have strong partnership also with corporate partnership na through their CSR program or ESG, Environmental and Social and Government Program, na ginagamit namin yung plantable toothbrush, okay, para maging ehemplo nila instead na typical na tree planting na ginagawa ng mga kumpanya. So pinapagamit muna namin for 3 months yung plantable toothbrush, and after 3 months, iniimbita namin sila doon sa aming community na pumunta at magtanim. Okay, ganun yung ginagawa namin. Itatanim nila yung plantable toothbrush nila. So the story of the plantable toothbrush, basically, it's because of pandemic. Kasi nga, we're effective. Yung bamboo store namin, we're good now. We're in the big brand already in the Philippines. But of course, yung tourism and food industry talaga, beverage industry is yung naapektuhan during the pandemic. So that's the idea behind it. Naghahanap talaga kami ng produkto na kung saan resilient. Na kahit may pandemic, may calamity, ginagamit pa rin ng mga tao. So that's why in conducting a lot of research, so tinry, nag-test ko, basically fan ako ng research na kailangan it should be viable, na kailangan mo natatanim mo siya, na totoo, okay yung claims And which is upon conducting a lot of bootstrapping with the product, so we came up with this technology using a nanotechnology and different modern technology in order to make this plattable toothbrush happen. So yun siya, mga native trees. For example, ngayon we have mamalis, pine tree, acacia, native here in the Philippines, alibangbang. So for example, in your family, the father is the pine tree, the mother is the acacia, then yung anak mo either bamboo, alibangbang, so that sustainability works inside the family because we want that sustainability could be accessed easily. Those eco-friendly products should be cheaper and it should be started in our home. So mas madali na lang kasi pag na-convince na natin yung mga pag ginagawa na ng mga tao, okay, yung lifestyle, okay, being an eco-friendly and basically na mas makatipid din doon sa mga pang-araw-araw nilang gastusan. So that's how it works.
Okay, of all the things you could be doing as an entrepreneur or social entrepreneur, no, bakit bamboo? Bakit kawayan yung tinutukan mo?
Anong na-discover ko all about bamboo that it is regenerative kasi nga you're just going to plant it once and it will grow forever. Hindi ka na magre-replant. After 3 years, tuloy-tuloy na yung harvest mo. Basically, I think that is very personal also to me kasi nung mga bata pa nga kami, ginagamit namin yung sumpak, sulpot, alam mo yung kawayan. So nung nagsa-start pa lang kami sa bambuhay, doon ko nakuha yung idea kasi nga hindi namin kayang bumili ng mga toys. So ginagamit namin yun na parang baril-barilan. Then pag nauuhaw kami, ginagamit sinisip namin doon sa river. So doon nagkaroon ng idea, it's a poverty story na okay, from that sumpak in my childhood, ginawa ko siyang bamboo straw. Okay, yun yung start ng kumpanya. So, and then nalaman ko din that bamboo is really good for brain development. Kaya nga sabi ko kahit malnourished kami, kahit wala masyado kaming kinakain, during bamboo season, breakfast, lunch, dinner, yun lang yung kinakain namin. Bamboo shoot. Okay, labong. And then when we discovered it is really good for brain development. So kaya pala nasabi ko na nagkaroon ako ng gift all about being, should I say na medyo matalino, okay, katalinuhan, okay, nabigyan ng opportunity. It's because na-develop ng maayos yung brain ko. It's because of the component in the bamboo shot. So ganun yung storya doon. It is now the symbol of sustainability. Kasi nga it captures more carbon dioxide, 30% more than the ordinary trees. It produces 30% more oxygen than ordinary trees, and it can thrive together with the trees. Like hindi mo na kailangan magputol ng puno in order to grow a bamboo. So I think it is really, and of course it provide food. Okay, it is the best material also for our mga daily na ginagawa natin. And I think we have that symbolic, okay, our bahay kubo, okay, in the Philippines. Sabi kasi lang pag nakatira ka sa bahay kubo is mahirap ka. Gusto ko din tanggalin yung perspektibo na yon. And then maganda din siya sa soil erosion. I know you're a fan of bamboo, Howie. Halos lahat, okay? Lahat ng kailangan mo nasa kawayan kasi ngayon may yung dahon niya pwedeng gawing bamboo tea. Okay? And it's very healthy. So almost complete na siya, okay, bilang isang produkto. And basically, it's all about, it's environmental aspect. Yun talaga yung pinakamalaking consideration.
Okay, Mark, no? Well, you and I have been using bamboo for a long time. I don't have the same childhood experience as you, no? But yung isang nalaman natin tungkol dito sa kawayan, yung contradiction nga na sa kabila ng usefulness nito, the creation myths of Filipinos is in bamboo, doon nang galing yung malakas at maganda, etc. No? The Philippines produces so little bamboo, di ba?
Yes.
We compared to other Asian countries, no? If you go to China, Japan, Hong Kong, iba yung status ng kawayan doon, ano? You go to Hong Kong, ginagamit siya sa construction scaffolding. Dito sa atin, puro bakal pa rin, ano? Why is that? Totoo nga yung mga sinasabi mo na it's yung symbolism ng kawayan is so strong in the Philippines, no? It's associated with the creation of the creation myth in the Philippines, no? And yet sa kabila ng lahat na yan, napakahina ng production natin.
I think yung isang contributing factor talaga dito is policy. Kasi right now with the DNR, ang daming policy. Like tayo lang, nag-consider na yung kawayan ay kahoy. Only Philippines, and there's another country in the world, dalawang bansa lang, kaya nagko-consider siya na a lot of regulations. So I think that's one thing kasi ang hirap talaga. Ang hirap mag-comply, okay, with all those regulations. So isa yun sa mga ngayon kasi siguro ngayon kaya kung medyo nag-mainstream na siya since 2017, it's because of that medyo niluluwagan na yung mga policy. So I think isa yun sa mga contributing factor. And I think yung fanatism natin ng mga Pinoy, andun pa rin kasi yung love na love natin yung mga imported products. I think tayo lang na bansa yung gano'n. Which is, I think naintindihan naman natin yun kasi nga, ang daming bansa na sumakop sa atin. So I think that one thing, that kind of mentality na pagaling China ay mura yung produkto. But it's not really. Kasi sabihin natin na yung mga produkto na yung mura, but still, it's not that healthy or eco-friendly talaga. So I think yun yung mga contributing factor, and of course I think it's because of those regulations, it's because of those policies na sobrang hirap kaya nadi-discourage yung mga tao na magnegosyo of this kasi kailangan mo pa ng transport permit. If you are going to transport the kawayan from this place to another place, ang dami-daming kailangan mong i-register. Yun yung pinakamalaking contributing factor talaga, policy.
Okay, because of all these enterprises you've been involved in, Mark, no, na-appoint ka sa itong bagong government agency, National Innovation Council. For many of our listeners, this might be the first time they're hearing about this. So what is the mission of the National Innovation Council, of which you are now a member?
Yeah, basically, National Innovation Council, this is the highest government policy body of the Philippines for national development and innovation. The main vision for this council is basically to use innovation in order to solve those social and environmental issues that we have here in the Philippines and to support our MSMEs to go global. Social innovation as a platform to uplift the millions of Filipino to be out of poverty and basically to use also the creativity of Filipino to boost the creativity of the Filipino kasi alam natin yung lumabas sa PISA ngayon na isa tayo sa mga pinakamababa in terms of creativity. So we want to mainstream the innovation to every Filipino. So yun yung scope niya. Andun ngayon, mayroon beyond the policy making na ginagawa namin is we are also supporting our MSMEs through like this year we're going to launch the Philippine Innovation Award. So this is a presidential or we called it also a Nobel Peace Prize Award for Philippine Innovator na sobrang laki ng premyo. We will launch it this October. So isa yun sa mga platform din namin na ginagawa sa mga mission namin para matulungan yung mga Philippine innovator is for them to be recognized and for them to be supported, okay, with not just a moral support, but basically a capital in order to boost their innovation, not just here in the Philippines, but basically worldwide. So yun yung mission, okay, ng National Innovation Council. And it was led by President Marcos. And some of the members are cabinet secretaries who are also part of the National Innovation Council. Our president is gusto niya na there is an innovation sa lahat ng serbisyo na gagawin ng gobyerno. It should be innovative in order na mapabilis natin yung paglago or pag-unlad ng ating bansa.
Okay, nabanggit mo, Mark, no? So the National Innovation Council will support innovations that will help solve, among other problems, environmental problems, no? So yung halimbawa lang itong bamboo products na ginagawa mo and other entrepreneurs, no? It's meant to be a solution to the plastic waste problem. And we know that the Philippines is one of the leading producers of plastic waste in the world's oceans, no? Which have a widespread impact way beyond the Philippines. So sa pag-shift dito sa bamboo consumer products like bamboo straws and bamboo toothbrushes, it's meant to replace yung plastic products as well, no? So that would be highlighting the responsibility of consumers. But I'm sure you also agree that the business sector also has a responsibility towards lessening plastic waste, because a lot of this plastic waste comes from plastic products that are produced by the manufacturing and corporate sector. We're also big consumers of fast food products, etc. No? So ano naman ang ginagawa ng mga katulad mo na nasa gobyerno ngayon, no? About making the producers of plastic more accountable?
We have the Green Jobs Act already. So hopefully may implement this year. So for example, you are in this space in the Green Jobs Act kasi we want to encourage the big business sector also to support the Green Jobs Act for them to become part of the Green Jobs Act. If they're going to shift into a more sustainable and eco-friendly product, it's basically have a lot of incentives. And right now, I think we have the EPR law also that's also hopefully okay it will be properly implemented in order to provide also incentives, like instead of CSR programs, they can use their CSR budget into the environment. We are still pushing a lot of policies in order to limit, in order to lessen, okay, if not eliminate those unnecessary product. Hindi ko naman sabihin na lahat ng plastic product ay bad. So it's all about the single use, yung mga regular natin na na ginagamit paunti-unti, okay, na ginagawa na nagkakaroon ng klaro na direksyon in terms of addressing plastic pollution in order to protect our environment. So yeah.
Okay, Mark, we get a lot of products from China, no? Mga imports galing China, including a lot of plastic products,
Yes.
but also bamboo products, no?
Yeah.
Whenever I see bamboo products on the market, no, I mean, automatically they draw my attention. Tas pag nagtatanong ako, tinitinan ko yung labeling, madalas gawa nga sa ibang bansa, no?
Uh-huh.
So that's part of your competition.
Yes.
Are you advocating protection for local sustainable products like yours? Siyempre, yung mga bamboo products galing China, galing sa Vietnam, etc. Ay, ano na yan, may economies of scale na yan, established
Yes.
na yan, you have distribution systems. Ang hirap makapasok, maka-compete, lumaban dyan sa mga produktong galing sa mga malalaking bansa na yan. Ano? So, ano naman ang solution dyan? Would you want your products, bamboo toothbrushes and straws and other locally made products to be protected by the government?
So that's one of the policy actually that I am pushing it. Okay, yung nabanggit mo na for example, mayroon tayong specific na innovation that was na nakita natin na potential talaga na gawang Pilipino is we are going to limit. Like for example, right now, my proposal is it should be 40% of that kind of product in that industry. Like for example, ayaw naman nating i-monopolize. For example lang, sa toothbrush industry, it should be 60% kung available na siya locally. It should be 60% nung supply chain na yun. Like for example, we are around 100, yung gumagamit ng toothbrush sa Pilipinas is around, sabihin natin, around 80 million. So the 40% per quarter or around 380 million per annually na ginagamit natin na toothbrush sa Pilipinas. So we are lobbying also a 60-40 na papasok dito sa Pilipinas. For example, 280 million, only 40% of that will be imported and 60% should be locally made until such time those innovation in the Philippines can easily compete in the market and then such time pwede nating alam mo yung parang sa bigas, 'di ba mayroon tayong cap. Yun yung isang mga policy na na nilalabi natin ngayon in order to support Filipino innovation and so that they can mainstream it in the market. Kasi tama ka rin talaga, sobrang hirap mag-compete with that kind of policy that we can have is basically we can control and we can really support our very own. And one thing din na ginagawa namin ngayon is we have what we call sandbox. For example, may innovation ka na nagawang bamboo. And then maraming regulation, for example, in FDA or sa DNR, isa sandbox namin na siya na with your first or 1 to 3 years of your operation, you will be exempted of those government regulations in order to move forward para yung focus mo na lang is really to scale your product. Our goal also is to automate. Like what we are doing now in Babuhay, we have around 5,000 square meter facility and we are automating all our processes. So parang just to give way to our Philippine innovator na makapaghanda, okay, na makapaghanda at saka makapag-focus in their scale kasi nga it's because of those a lot of regulations kaya nga nahamper yung expansion or scale ng mga negosyo. So we have that kind of policies on order that to move forward, okay, with international innovation councils. We are rooting for that now, hopefully, okay, and I think the president and the other members will really support it.
So walang pushback against that kasi syempre anytime you protect local products that would go against the principles of free trade, di ba?
Yeah.
The free flow of trade pero may gumagawa ka ng barriers to imports in a way.
Yung tinitingnan natin dito is really to protect also our environment kasi the more you import, the higher the carbon emission. And I think it's not really a barrier, but basically it is an opportunity for exporter and importer products. Because I think there's a lot of country pa rin naman talaga, for example, bamboo, hindi talaga siya nag-grow ng maayos doon sa Europe. So there's a lot of opportunity. Hindi ko siya matatawag na barrier, but it's all about protecting our economy so that we can provide more jobs. And we can provide, kasi fair pa rin naman eh. Fair pa rin naman yung ginagawa natin that we still have in order to reduce our carbon emissions to 60% locally and then 40% import. Kasi hindi lang naman natin to ginagawa in order to hamper the business, but basically ginagawa natin to para protektahan yung kalikasan talaga natin. If wala yung planeta natin, we're nothing.
Yeah, kaya tinawag na fair trade, di ba? As opposed to just free trade, which is often unfair to smaller countries.
Yeah, we really need to go for fair trade. Kasi nga, kawawa talaga, okay? Kung mag-free trade tayo, kawawa yung mga hindi masyadong kapitalista or yung mga innovator natin. Hindi talaga sila magsasucceed. So we really need to protect our innovators.
Okay, Mark, I know that you got your degree in food technology, no? And much of the food in the Philippines is sold in plastic packaging. Diba? You go to a supermarket, lahat yan naka-plastic. Kahit bumili ka sa palengke, babalutin yan sa plastic. Ano naman ang solution dyan? That's a huge source of plastic waste.
What we're doing in Bambuhay right now, that's part of our product innovation. We are also developing a transparent bamboo product. We call it a transparent plant-based material to replace plastic. Okay, ayoko siyang tawagin na eco-friendly plastic because there's no such thing as eco-friendly plastic. Okay, it is a plant-based packaging. So we're looking forward, we can launch it in 2 to 3 years time. The bamboo has napakaganda ng starch component niya and it's really possible to utilize it as a packaging that's in our that's in our company, okay, as our capacity. We are pushing also, like for example, what I said a while ago, that we have Philippine Innovation Awards to encourage more Filipino to innovate something for us to support. Yung premium ng Philippine Innovation Award is around 5 to 10 million. Okay, pina-finalize lang namin kung magkano talaga yung ibibigay namin na grant prize. Grant yon. So meaning, magamit nila yon para lang palaguin sa negosyo nila, hindi na nila kailangan ibalik yon sa kumpanya. So I think that's one way also to encourage more innovator in the Philippines to really address the problem in the plastic sector. At ngayon, yung isang innovation ko, I think we called it automated tubig machine. Yun yung concept doon. But yung ginawa namin dito ngayon, yung sinistudy namin, is ilalagay namin yung mga toyo or soy sauce, condiments, etc. doon sa isang machine na kung saan you can refill. Similar with the concept of automated tubig machine. Kung nakikita mo dyan sa mga palibot, especially in Cebu, maraming gano'n na mag-refill ka lang. Basically, we can really provide a better alternative, but I think for me is we really need to bring back, I think, how we experience that nung nung mga bata tayo, pag inuutosan tayo ng nanay natin na bumili ng mga toyo, etc., may doon tayong dalang bote. So I think by means of that, pwede nating ma-reduce.
Okay. I want to shift gears a little bit. No, I watched one of your speeches at an international forum. You were wearing a salakot.
Yeah, that's bamboo.
You were wearing a barong and a salakot. So tell us about that. What was the thinking behind deciding to wear a salakot in front of an international audience?
Yeah, basically always ginagawa ko yan kahit saan. Okay? Kasi I think the symbolism, yun yung kaya, okay, na may pakita natin how great is bamboo. Sinasaulo talaga natin. Yun yung lagi ko siyang ginagawa talaga. Because I really want to represent with our farmer that we should value more, okay, with our farmer. And I think that kind of opportunity, that silent hut, really represent, okay, me as a farmer and the millions of farmer here in the Philippines.
Okay, obviously you're not just a bamboo entrepreneur, but you're also a communicator. You're trying to communicate all of these values and new ways of thinking. Gaano ka-importante yung branding, personal branding mo, yung online presence? You're a millennial. What are your strategies?
I think that's really one of my advantage, my rags to riches story. For my branding, I think that's really innate to the people that as a farmer, is ito na yung naabot. And I think, should I say, strategy, kapal ng mukha. Okay? Yun yung kailangan, if you have something na mayroon kang idea, share it to the people, gawin mo, and prove to the people that there is something with that kind of thing, with that innovation or with that product, with that idea that you have, and share it to the people, whoever they are, and maniwala man sila o hindi sa'yo, just share it.
Okay, finally, Mark, no? Advice for young people. What do you advise young people who go to you?
Huwag nating isipin lagi na may hadlang doon sa mga pangarap natin na, for example, minsan ginagamit natin yung kahirapan para hindi tayo makapag-aral. So wag natin gamitin yon. But basically, we really need to move forward. Kung ano man yung sitwasyon mo, nasa mayaman, nasa mahirap, or saang sulok ka man ng mundo, gamitin mo yung talento mo sa tama at gawin mo kung ano yung dapat at simulan mo kung ano yung resources na mayroon ka. Kasi ganun talaga sa pagninegosyo, we can get out from all of this from this poverty thing or is sa pagninegosyo. Okay, doon ko talaga nakita kasi being an employee is okay. Yeah, nakakatulong siya. But if you really want to help other people, if you really want for your family to be out of poverty, I think pagninegosyo talaga yung isa sa pinaka solusyon. Kasi like nung sinimulan ko yung kumpanya, I have only 10,000 pesos. And I grow up it now to millions of pesos. But still, at maniwala kayo sa sarili nyo, okay? Maniwala kayo doon. Kung may idea kayo, showcase it, okay? Kapalan nyo yung mukha ninyo to tell the people that you have that great idea, to show to the people and start doing it.
Okay, maraming salamat, Mark, sa iyong mga advocacy at sa iyong serbisyo publiko. Good luck on all your endeavors. Mark Sava, social entrepreneur, TOYM awardee, at Bamboo Advocate. Mabuhay ka.
Maraming salamat, Howie.
Hi, I'm Howie Severino. Check out the Howie Severino podcast. New episodes will stream every Thursday. Listen for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms.